You're here to learn more about headshot photography through our talented headshot photographer, Dr. Peter Istvan. Then skip to the interview. If you're an interpreter, please pause, grab your pen and paper, grab something to record yourself, and let's get started. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. If it's your first time here, please consider subscribing if you like this content and hit the notification and like buttons and share this video. Today, we will be interviewing a very talented photographer, Dr. Peter Istvan. Dr. Peter Istvan is a multifaceted professional excelling in both the realms of academia and photography. He holds a PhD in Neurosciences and Physiology, and he brings a deep understanding of the human mind and body to his work. He is a Phase 2 director and an assistant professor at the Northern Ontario School of Medicine. I was honored to meet Dr. Istvan just over 8 years ago when I taught a short course of Arabic at Canadore College here in Parry Sound, Ontario. And he was such a lovely individual to interact with and to get to know. Dr. Peter has added photography to his realm of expertise. He is a skilled headshot photographer in Parry Sound, Ontario, and we will be talking about this aspect of his work in our interview today. For our dear interpreters who would like to practice their interpreting, I will be asking the questions in the interview in English. Dr. Peter will answer me in English, and I will interpret the question and the answer into Arabic. Just like our previous video of Interpreter in Action, I will pause before I interpret the answer of Dr. Peter to give you a chance to interpret it yourself as you're recording yourself. And then you can listen to my interpreting, maybe compare, maybe evaluate me as well as you're evaluating yourself, and then move on to the next question. During the interview, I have made some mistakes in my interpreting. So when I do that, I will post a red flag so you know there is something here to pay attention to in my interpreting. A disclaimer, I have not cut anything in my own interpreting because the purpose of this video and similar videos is for interpreters to see an interpreter in action and all that can go wrong with it, along with all the positives as well. However, sometimes in my questions in English, there are long pauses between an answer and the next question, so I have cut those in the video. At the end of this video, there will be samples of Dr. Istvan's work as a photographer, so make sure you stay till the very end to see his amazing work. Don't forget to check the links below so you get to book an appointment with Dr. Istvan to get your headshot photography done. Now, get ready and watch the interview with me. So we have Dr. Istvan with us today. He prefers if I call him Peter. Thank you very much for accepting this interview, and I'm really honored to be here and ask you the questions that I have.
Great, happy to be here.
Thank you. إذا نحن سعداء اليوم لوجودنا مع الدكتور بيتر إستفان. هو يفضل أن أناديه بيتر، وأنا فخورة جدا أنني معه اليوم. So on social media, you're known for your headshot photography.
Yes.
And as I said, I was trying to figure out what's the exact translation of this terminology, and I couldn't find an agreed upon translation.
Yes.
So usually what I do in this case is ask the person to explain to me what this terminology means. What is headshot photography? If you could give the viewers a sense of that.
Sure. So headshot photography would be a photo of a person from essentially the chest up, with the focus of the photo being on the person's face.
Okay. إذا السؤال هو عندما حاولت أن أجد معنى أو ترجمة headshot photography لم أجد ترجمة متفقا عليها. لذا السؤال هو ما هو الheadshot photography أو الترجمة التي أتيت بها هي الصورة الشخصية لمنطقة الرأس، والجواب كان أن الهيد شوت فوتوغرافي أو الصورة الشخصية هذا هي صورة الشخص من منطقة الصدر إلى الأعلى والتركيز يكون على منطقة الوجه. Thank you so much. Again, the terminology that, or maybe the stereotype that we have of a headshot photography is that it's either used for ID cards, for professionals, and because I follow you on social media, I see that there are other scenarios in which you use the headshot photography. And so could you please tell us a little bit who would benefit from a headshot photography, or who would come to you and have their photos taken?
Well, everyone needs a good headshot, and the uses of them might be different, whether it be for a website, for a person's business. It could be for a dating site for somebody, for example. There's a long list of reasons. One of the big differences between a good headshot and, let's say, a passport or driver's license is the headshot is an opportunity for a person's personality to shine through. And you get a sense of what kind of person is there, whether the... I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. إذا الجميع يحتاج إلى صورة شخصية لمنطقة الرأس، وهذه الصورة يجب أن تكون جميلة. الأسباب قد تختلف، قد يستخدمها الشخص لموقعه الإلكتروني، لعمله، لاستخدامه في المواقع الإلكترونية الخاصة للمواعدة، وقائمة طويلة بالأسباب. ولكن الفرق الكبير بين الصورة الشخصية التي لمنطقة الرأس والصور الأخرى الشخصية التي قد تستخدم للجوازات أو بطاقات الهوية هي أن هذا النوع الهيدشوت فوتوغرافي يبرز أو يجعل شخصية الفرد تشع أو تبرز، ونستطيع أن نرى الشخصية الموجودة خلف الصورة. Thank you so much. When I looked at your LinkedIn page, there is a long history of you being in the healthcare system. You obviously have a PhD. If you could tell us a little bit about, maybe in like a sentence or two, what that is, and then how did the shift happen all the way to like photography and...
Sure. So my working career, as you noted, has been primarily in healthcare and education. My interest in photography has been throughout my life. I probably got it from my dad, who was a hobbyist photographer. But in recent years, I started becoming more serious about focusing in on photography as a business, as a source of income, and as a future retirement option for when I get out of healthcare. And it also provides a creative outlet, and it's been a wonderful opportunity to meet so many different people with so many incredible stories.
Thank you. إذا السؤال هو أن كيف أصبحت النقلة، لأن تخصص السيد إستفان هو في مجال أو القطاع الصحي، فكيف حصلت هذه النقلة من القطاع الصحي إلى التصوير الفوتوغرافي؟ والجواب هو بأن العلاقة بالتصوير بدأت منذ الصغر، لأنها كانت هواية الوالد، وفي السنوات الأخيرة رأيت أو نظرت إلى الموضوع بجدية أكبر، وقررت أن أقوم بعمل أو بزنس من هذا المجال، مجال التصوير، ليكون مصدرا آخر للدخل، وليكون برنامجا مستقبليا لما بعد التقاعد، وأيضا هو مجال للإبداع، وتعرفت على أناس كثيرين بقصص مختلفة جميلة لكل شخص، فكل هذه كانت مزايا التصوير. So you started with headshot photography immediately, or was it just general photography at first, and then you decided to delve into the...
It was general photography, and then a few years ago I went to a conference with a friend of mine, and like many things, there's specialties within photography. There's families, weddings, architecture, real estate, boudoir, portraits, and a headshot. And I really focused in on the headshots out of all the different kinds of things you could do because of, well, as I mentioned, because of the ability to connect with people, but then also the simplicity of the setup. So it was through a journey that I ended up focusing on headshot photography.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Thank you. إذا السؤال هو كيف أو هل كان التركيز منذ البداية على تصوير منطقة الرأس أو كان تصويرا عاما في البداية ثم حصل التخصص؟ فقال أنه كان عاما في البداية ثم شارك في مؤتمر مع أحد الزملاء أو الأصدقاء، وكانت هناك أنواع كثيرة للتصوير في ذاك المؤتمر، منه تصوير العائلي، تصوير الجسم كاملا، تصوير مجال العقار، تصوير وأيضا تصوير منطقة الرأس. أنا اخترت تصوير منطقة الرأس لأنني وجدت أنني أستطيع أن أتواصل مع الناس، ولأن التنسيق لهذا التصوير أسهل بكثير، وبدأ منذ وقتها بدأت رحلة هذا المجال بالنسبة لي. Thank you so much. There's something you talk about on your social media, which is Faces with Stories initiative. Yes. Would you like to tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so I've had the opportunity to go to the retirement home where my mom is, and what I've been doing for the last couple of years is taking complimentary headshots of the people there. And my wife comes with me, and before we're taking the photos, she spends some time chatting with each person, and they all have a story. And it's wonderful to hear about their past, the things they've done, the things they've accomplished. And it just came to sort of that idea that behind every face there is a story. So everybody you meet has got some kind of story that is quite interesting. And so that's basically how that idea came up.
Thank you. And you keep on doing that, like every once in a while?
For the last 3 years I've done it, yeah. So wow. They're complimentary headshots for the people at the retirement home and the families. What's really has been great is the families, how much they appreciate having a great photo of their mother, their father, or their grandparents, or someone they love.
Thank you. إذا هو عنده مبادرة اسمها مبادرة Faces with Stories أو وجوه بحكايات، فسألته عن هذه المبادرة. القصة هي أن يقول أمي تعيش في بيت خاص للمتقاعدين، وعندما أذهب لزيارتها بدأت بالتقاط بعض الصور للآخرين الذين يسكنون هناك، وزوجتي تأتي معي وهي تسأل الناس عن قصصهم، عن حياتهم، عما كانوا يفعلونه. فوجدت أن وراء كل وجه قصة، ومنذ وقتها الآن مرت 3 سنوات وأنا ألتقط الصور بصورة مجانية للأشخاص المقيمين في هذه الدار. Thank you so much. Could you tell me like something you remember, maybe an incident that stick with you throughout, sorry, I didn't ask you how long you've been doing the headshot photography. Since you've started, like if there is something memorable that you remember, something funny, something touching, any story that sticks.
Yeah. So some people just need a headshot for they need a headshot, but I've also had the experience where I've been part of a person's journey in transforming. To give you an example that's been a really memorable time is one time I was photographing a lady who had she had a congenital birth defect in her hand, so she was quite conscious about this hand. And at some point she said during the session, "Hey, I'd like to have a photo with my hand." And it was a very natural moment where she was going to brush her hair back, and I took a couple photos, and they turned out to be really great photos. And at the end, she said, "This is the first time I've ever let somebody take a photo of my hand." So it was a really empowering moment. I think we're both almost in tears, but it was pretty cool to be part of that experience for that woman.
Wow, thank you. إذا السؤال هو إن كان يتذكر شيئا خاصا، يعني أي شيء أثر عليه أكثر أو كان مضحكا مؤثرا، فيقول أنني كنت جزءا من تحولات هامة في حياة بعض الأفراد من خلال هذا العمل. مثلا هناك سيدة كان عندها عيب خلقي في منطقة اليد أو تشوه في يدها منذ الولادة، فعندما كنا في أثناء التصوير قالت لي أريد أن ألتقط صورة لي مع يدي في هذه الصورة، وبينما كانت تمشط شعرها قبل يعني استعدادا لالتقاط الصورة التقطت الصورة وأريتها إياها، وقالت هذه أول مرة أسمح فيها لأحد بأن يلتقط صورة من يدي، وكانت لحظة مؤثرة. كنا يعني دموعنا لم نستطع أن نتحكم فيها، جميل أن نكون في تحولات الأشخاص هكذا.
So to add to that, generally 99.9% of people don't like having their photo taken. People are very critical of themselves, how they look, how they feel. But what's happened over and over again is when you take a great photo of someone and they see themselves in a different light, it can be very empowering where they feel good about themselves. So I've had that experience many, many times, and that's fun to be part of.
Thank you. إذا عادة 99.9% من الأشخاص لا يحبون أن تلتقط صورهم. لماذا؟ لأنهم ينتقدون أنفسهم، لا يشعرون براحة تجاه شكلهم، أو لا يشعرون براحة بأن تلتقط صورهم. لذا عندما نلتقط صورة جميلة لشخص أو صورة رائعة لشخص، يستطيع أن يرى نفسه بضوء مختلف أو من جانب مختلف. وجربت هذا مرات ومرات بأن يعجب الشخص بصورته بعد أن تلتقط هذه الصورة. So let's say I am someone with little confidence and I don't like my photo to be taken. How would you convince me to have my photo taken? And I'm like, no, I don't like my smile, or I don't like how I look, or this is too focused for me. Like I like photos that are far. Like how would you convince a person who is having that self-critical talk to?
Yeah, well, I love taking photos, so we cancel each other out. But part of what I'm good at is making people feel comfortable and relaxed in front of the camera. So the first bit when someone comes to my studio is actually just sitting down, having a conversation and learning a little bit about them, what interests them, things they don't like, and just talking from one human being to another human being. And then when I think we're ready, we move over to the camera, and effectively I just continue having a conversation with them and push the shutter button once in a while. And through that process, we end up collecting some great images that generally people are happy, they're happy about them, and they're happy to share with their business and social networks. So it's a process.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. So how long would you spend
usually
in a session?
About 45 minutes to 60 minutes. It depends, roughly.
Thank you. إذا السؤال هو مثلا شخص مثلي لا تحب أن تلتقط الصور، كيف تقنعني بأن آتي وألتقط صورة هنا وتعطيني هذه الثقة؟ الجواب هو أنه من المهم أن يشعر الشخص بالراحة عندما يأتي، خاصة أمام الكاميرا أو آلة التصوير. فأولا عندما يدخل الشخص إلى الاستوديو ما نفعله هو أن أتحدث معه، أن يكون هناك حوار أو محادثة بين شخصين، بين إنسان وإنسان، أتعرف عليه ما يحب ما لا يحب، وبعد ذلك ننتقل أمام الكاميرا ونكمل الحديث. وبينما نكمل الحديث أضغط على زر التصوير بين فينة وأخرى، والنتيجة تكون مجموعة من الصور التي تعجب الشخص والتي يستطيع استخدامها لعمله أو للمواقف الاجتماعية المختلفة. والجلسة قد تستغرق بين 60 إلى 90 دقيقة. As a parent, when I see someone as successful as you, especially like in the academic field, like all the way to PhD and all whatever, everything that you're doing in this community in the healthcare sector, and also now the photography. My first question is, what's the childhood that you had that has caused you to get here? What have your parents done that has cultivated these skills and talents in you, or given you the tools to be able to work on yourself in different parts of different times in your life, and never like give up or settle, like you're always trying to learn something new or do something different. So what has been your parents' role in where you are today?
Well, they started off with providing me with a loving and caring household. So, and all my basic needs were taken care of, and they provided me with opportunities, excuse me, to grow and develop into, well, I'll say that a young man at that point. But from that time on, after I left to go off to university, I've been fortunate enough to meet different people along the way who've been very influential in my approach to life and my drive to always seek other opportunities or to get better. I mean, there's been a few bumps along the way for sure, but I've been fortunate enough to be surrounded by some pretty motivating people along the way. But my parents, to go back to your question, got me off to a great start.
Thank you so much. إذا أول سؤال يتبادر إلى ذهني عندما أرى شخصا موفقا هكذا في حياته، ماذا كان دور الأهل أو الوالدين في هذا التوفيق الذي وصل إليه الشخص؟ فالجواب هو أن أهلي أعطوني أو زودوني ببيت مليء بالحنان والرعاية، وأعطوني كل احتياجاتي الأساسية حتى أصبح شابا وأذهب إلى الجامعة. وعندما خرجت من البيت وذهبت إلى الحياة الجامعية قابلت أشخاصا مختلفين وأثروا علي بصورة إيجابية. أصبحت أفضل في كثير من المجالات. نعم، كانت هناك كثير من العقبات في طريقي، ولكن دائما كان عندي الدافع في أن أتحسن وأجتاز هذه العقبات. Thank you very much.
Well, it sounds like you're saying a lot more than I'm saying.
Am I? Usually Arabic is supposed to be shorter.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
No, that's for the interpreters to figure out if I'm doing something wrong there. Leave it in the comments below. Okay, so if someone wants to book an appointment with you, what's the practical steps? What do they need to do?
It's super easy. They just go to my website and they can read about the pricing information. They can read a lot about the background, of how to prepare for a headshot, what to wear, what not to wear. They can see a couple examples of videos of the process. But the book one, I have an online calendar, so it's click, click, click. They can see dates that are available. And if none of those dates work for them, they can always just email me or contact me, and I'll try and make it work. So it's super easy.
Thank you so much. إذا السؤال هو أن أراد شخص أن يأتي ويلتقط صوره معه، ما هي الخطوات التي يجب أن يأخذها؟ الجواب: الموضوع سهل جدا. يذهب إلى الموقع الإلكتروني، الأسعار موجودة، كيفية التحضير لجلسة التصوير موجودة، ماذا يرتدي الشخص، ماذا لا يرتدي الشخص، وهناك تقويم على الموقع الإلكتروني يضغط عليه مجرد ضغطات سريعة ويستطيع أن يحجز الموعد مع بيتر. Thank you so much. Well, I interpret the question first and then your answer.
Oh, okay.
So maybe that's why. All right. Is there anything else that you would like to add at the end?
I'd just like to know when you're booking your headshot.
Oh.
Just kidding. You don't have to answer that.
Soon.
Soon.
Soon. We'll have to do that.
No, I can't.
And yeah, I would like to, like, if you'd like to add some photos for people to see at the end. So keep watching, and the samples of Peter's work will be at the end of this video. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.